Hi, I'm Raina the Mermaid. This is my vlog, So You Want to Be a Mermaid. On today's episode, everything you need to know about silicone tails. Number 1. There are two types of silicone tails, tin cure and platinum. Tin cure is usually sold as caulking in bottles. It cures from the air and can create a vinegar smell. Some people buy it from the hardware store, some from special effects places, and some from fish stores using aquarium silicone. My friend Fifi of Tig's Tails makes beautiful tails using these methods. These tails can sometimes be less expensive than platinum, but they also don't have as much variety in their stretch. Once they're cured, real silicone tails are safe to touch and use, even if they're tin cure, so long as it's pure silicone. Tin cure tails work best when they're tinted with pigments and painted with thinned out silicone and pigmented. Platinum silicone is sold in buckets that have to be mixed by parts. It comes in different varieties to create a softness or stretch. It should have no chemical type smell when it's cured, but some people do find it smells like rubber. It's 100% medical grade when cured and can be tolerated through different temperatures and cleansers, though it's good to stick with normal temperatures and normal cleansers to keep your tail lasting a long time. Depending on the type of silicone used, it can have a lot of stretch. They also get painted by mixing the pigments in with silicone and by thinning silicone mixed with pigment too. Most of the top of the line tail makers use this type of silicone, and it can sometimes be expensive. Number 2, silicone tails can sometimes have a backing. It might be neoprene, which is wetsuit material, neoprene, which is a spacer material, or something called power mesh, which gets used a lot inside bathing suits and sports clothing. Of course, they may have no backing at all. A backing can add extra support to your tail, but it can also make it a bit harder to stretch with certain types. Some tail makers are really good at sticking their backing to the silicone, but since silicone can be tricky to stick things to, some tail makers haven't quite figured it out yet. Number 3. While silicone is really durable, it can still grow mold if you leave it sitting while wet. Water gets trapped in any porous spots or in and between backing. If it's not cleaned out, it can create mold. The best way to prevent that is to thoroughly dry your tail and clean it. I've got 3 other vlogs on cleaning different types of tails and drying them, so be sure to go check them out. They're in the playlist. Number 4. Silicone tails come from a variety of monofins, and some come with just foot pockets. How easy it is to swim in your tail, how heavy it feels, and how difficult it might be to prop the fluke up can all depend on the monofin. A bigger monofin may give less flex, but it can help you swim faster and feel stronger. It may be easier to sink in that tail too. A shorter, stubbier monofin may make swimming a bit trickier, but flips are easier and the fin flows in the water really beautifully. You might find it floats a little more though. Number 5. Some silicone tails have dorsal fins, heel fins, pelvic fins, and others. Extra fins can look really nice, but the more of them there are, and the bigger or longer they are, the easier it is for them to get caught on things and teared. I've tried many styles, and right now I prefer a short dorsal fin, even though I like the look of the long ones, and no pelvic fins. It all depends on what you plan on doing with your tail, because something can look really nice, but practically it might not be the best choice. Number 6. Silicone tails are expensive, but they aren't immune to damage. Waists can rip, tear, or fray. Scales can stretch apart, paint can scuff off or fade over time. And like I said, those extra fins can have some trouble. Some tail makers will fix your issues for you for a fee. Others will fix tails by other tail makers. And if you crawl around merwrangler.com, you might learn how to fix things yourself. The thing is, even if you're really careful, wear and tear just happens over time, especially in different environments, and especially if you use your tail constantly, like I do. Number 7. Silicone tails can sometimes be very floaty, especially depending on their thickness and the type of fluke you have. It can kind of create a learning curve when you're trying to learn how to swim in silicone. It is always good to practice in safe ways and have someone with you. Sometimes I put weights in my tail to help me sink for photo shoots, but I'm never alone, and I know how to get my tail off in emergencies. Number 8. Silicone tails are expensive, for good reason. The materials cost a lot, and as do the monofins. It takes a lot to create them, including molding and casting supplies. The silicone, painting supplies, specific tools, and all the trial and error that the artist went through in order to learn their craft. Customized tails tend to be more expensive as well. Never insult an artist by complaining that their tails are too expensive. If you need help learning how to stave for a mermaid tail, you should visit my website, makemeamermaid.com, where I've got several tutorials. Number 9. Silicone tails are really beautiful and very realistic, but you know what? They aren't for everyone, and that's okay. Some people find the tails quite claustrophobic, heavy, or difficult to swim in. Some people find they just don't make enough money as a mermaid to warrant paying so much for a tail. You can still be a pro mermaid without a silicone tail. There's many of them out there. In fact, Hannah Fraser, one of the most famous mermaids in the world, spent her entire career in neoprene tails until recently. Number 10. Merwrangler.com has a list of all the people who make silicone tails as well as other tails. You can go there to see reviews, photos, join in discussions with others, and figure out where you'd like to buy your tail, or even learn how to make your own tail. It's a really great website with a lot of resources, and you should totally check it out. Be sure to always look up reviews, not just on a tailmaker's website, but on Mer Network, on Facebook, and other places before you decide to buy a tail. Because remember, when people submit a review to a website of a tailmaker, they get to filter what shows up. But when you go onto other websites, you kind of get to see a truer representation of what exactly is going down. Anyway, that's everything you need to know about silicone tails in a nutshell. Happy swimming, and don't forget to check out our website, makemeamermaid.com. You can also check out our Facebook page, Learn How to Be a Professional Mermaid, and don't forget to check out merwrangler.com. Thanks.